Kit was the first American Girl series I ever read, and I was pleasantly surprised at how good these books are. There's 6 books telling the story of a girl growing up in Cincinnati during the Great Depression. She's very determined and resourceful in her attempts to make the best out of bad situations. As the series continues, she becomes more kind-hearted to the less fortunate. I liked her character arc, and the stories about Kit were good too. I have read books written during the Great Depression, mainly the original Nancy Drew books and the first Boxcar Children book. Kit's books match with those ones very well. Kit's story definitely feels authentic. My only major complaint is that the books are too short. Multiple times I got sad that the book was over because I wanted the story to keep going. They're only 4 chapters long, including regular illustrations. At the end of each book is a looking back historical section with real-life pictures and educational information about the time period. I enjoyed those sections. In general, I enjoyed the series. I gave all the books a thumbs up. I know the books were written primarily to sell dolls, but they're still good. I've definitely seen a lot worse doll-selling entertainment for girls, from some of those Barbie movies. In the rest of the video, I will give a general recap of what happens in this series. In Book 1, we meet Kit and her family. Mother's friend, Mrs. Howard, says her husband moved to Chicago and they can't afford to live here anymore. Mother invites the Howards to stay in their home for a while. Kit struggles to get along with Mrs. Howard. She does better with Mrs. Howard's son, Sterling. When Dad loses his job, the family has immediate money problems. Mother decides they can make money by turning their home into a boarding house. In Book 2, the money situation is still bad. Dad has daily business meetings, but he still can't find a job. They need more boarders and repairs to make ends meet. Kit argues with a mean boy at school. I really hated this kid. He only shows up in this book, though. Okay, well, he shows up briefly in Book 4. Still don't like him. Kit argues with the mean boy. She accidentally causes a paint accident by pushing him into a ladder. In the most emotional scene of the entire series, Kit discovers her father doesn't have business meetings. He was lying. He's actually been going to a soup kitchen every day. Dad considers leaving the state to make things easier on his family, like Mr. Howard did. Sterling reveals he was lying about his dad. His dad just got up and left, hasn't been in contact with them at all. That's also quite sad. Together, Sterling and Kit make a plan to make more room in the house for new tenants. Book 3 was probably my favorite of the series. Kit and her best friend Ruthie get into an argument. Kit thinks Ruthie is unrealistically optimistic, while Ruthie thinks Kit is too proud to accept charity. The two friends stop talking for a while. The family's given a hard deadline from the bank. They will lose their house if they can't make a payment by the end of the holidays. Kit is forced to look after mean Uncle Hendrik. He gives her bus fare and says she can keep the money even if she doesn't take the bus. Kit saves this money, and she makes even more money by doing all of the chores that Uncle Hendrik pays for. There's a happy Christmas where Kit gets presents, she's reunited with Ruthie, and she gives her parents enough money to pay the electricity bill. Book 4 was probably my least favorite of the series. Aunt Millie comes to stay with the family. She has a bunch of thrifty ideas like raising chickens to sell eggs, and making clothing out of feed bags. That's mainly all there is to the book. There's not much in the way of story. Kit likes Aunt Millie, but she's also kind of embarrassed by penny pinching, because that lets other people know how poor the Kittredges are. At the end, there's a misunderstanding where Aunt Millie thinks Kit doesn't like her. Aunt Millie tries going back home, but Kit convinces her to stay. And Kit has a fun birthday. Book 5 is an action-filled book. Kit meets a teenage hobo named Will. She learns a lot about the hobo life. That's educational material right there. Kit and Sterling hop onto a moving freight train. They get caught and arrested. Kit escapes from jail and makes a dangerous journey back home across a train bridge. I still can't believe Kit was not punished for her bad choices. It did feel a little out of character for Kit to make such reckless decisions, but then again, if Kit hadn't decided to jump into a boxcar, the story wouldn't have happened. In Book 6, Kit is a lot more concerned about the poor and homeless after her misadventure with the hobo life. This coincides with Uncle Hendrik staying with the family for a while. Uncle Hendrik complains a lot about hobos and President Roosevelt. When Uncle Hendrik makes Kit deliver a letter to the newspaper, Kit decides to write her own letter in support of hobos. She includes pictures. Her letter's a big success. It's printed in the newspaper, and a lot of people make donations to soup kitchens. That's it for the Kit series. Sort of. The internet tells me there's a handful of spin-off books and a 7-book mystery series starring Kit. There's also a movie. So there's definitely a lot of Kit content outside of these 6 books. As I said, I really like these books. I would recommend the series if it sounds like something you'd be interested in. I give American Girl Kit a thumbs up.